It's often been said about Overlord that the best part of the show is not the main character, Momonga himself, or even his overpowered guardians, but the dilemmas and drama that surround the lives of the weaker characters in the world. In many ways, this is exactly how One Punch Man works. But the special ingredient that makes both of these series tick in just the right ways, at least in my opinion, is not just weak characters struggling against one another, but why they struggle, and for what reasons. If you've seen any of my previous videos, you know that characters and characterization are two of my favorite pillars of storytelling, because through these vessels we explore the rest of the narrative. Without a compelling character, the main story is meaningless, because we feel nothing for whether they succeed or fail. And without a character who feels as if they've lived and existed in this world, the world building is just meaningless, because it's simply a place they exist otherwise. Yet by this same logic, supplying the viewer with an antagonist, in this case Momonga and the Great Tomb of Nazarick, that is impossible to defeat by anyone in the world, even if they all teamed up together to defeat them, seems like it would invalidate the reason for any character's struggle and tie to the world. However, in this paradox is where the magic is made, because while Momonga and Nazarick are the ultimate antagonists to every situation in the world, characters like Tuare or Zaryusu's smaller problems compared to the world domination goal of the big leagues still do matter, especially as it relates to impressing Momonga or the rest of the main cast. Zaryusu is killed outright after all, while Tuare is threatened with death directly by the man who took her in. Yet both of these characters lived through impressing the right people, Cocytus and Sabus respectively. Even in servitude, their characters matter and mean something, even if we never see them again, because the places they end up are where their interesting lives end and their relative normalcy begins, an end to their stories in the main gaze of the show, if not the end to their life stories. And so the show, much like the Eye of Sauron, alights on new characters to view and watch struggle. In the most recent arc, Princess Renner and her compatriots are going through with a plan to demolish a rather large criminal organization. And while Sabus and the rest of Nazarick are tangentially related thanks to Sabus and Suare, and possibly Demiurge, the struggles of Brain and Climb especially are intriguing because even if their issues aren't world-threatening, they are interesting by virtue of watching underdogs overcome obstacles they usually can't through sheer willpower, at least in Climb's case, or even the extreme political maneuvering in Princess Renner's case. Even Brain's internal conflict with his cowardice and reevaluation of the world after meeting Shaltir is a fun one to watch for me, because it absolutely embodies the element of the show that makes it interesting. At first, Brain believes he's one of the strongest in the world, but is quickly disabused of that notion by Shaltir to become the depressed, lightless character we met in this season. But through working to find his own purpose in the world where he could never reach the highest peaks, he finds strength within himself, and the knowledge that his life and actions still do matter, as long as he's alive to the level of power he exists in. He can still make a difference, even if it's not saving the world. This is a common thread in shows and comics like DC and Marvel, where world and universe-shattering conflicts happen about every week. But the lower tiers of powered characters still matter to individuals. Much like Brain kept Climb alive and helped deal with the prostitution ring, the Teen Titans, for example, deal with street-level threats and individuals, as opposed to the Justice League's focus on world and universe-ending threats. It doesn't matter that the Teen Titans are less powerful than the Justice League, arguably, and may never reach the heights of Superman, also arguably, because their stories still matter, and they have a reason to exist. Even the most powerful entities can't be everywhere at once, as Momonga has been realizing from the start of the show. He delegates his tasks to his various guardians, letting those less powerful than he deal with problems that require less power, and steps in only when he can succeed at a goal, like his fight with Shaltir in Season 1. Watching incredible fights like these all the time, however, is a problem when the stakes are neither raised nor lowered, but remain the same. That's why Momonga himself has certain moments where he acts as an adventurer, weaker than he actually is in the context of the author writing a better story. Lowering himself to conflicts with Clementine and the adventuring party he met in Season 1 offered us a deeper story and connection to characters like Nina than Nazarick maneuvering against an entire nation, for example. In the end, it's easier to connect to and root for the underdog when you're watching media. And while it's also very interesting to see One Punch Man and Momonga and Superman absolutely destroy their problems with ease, you can only take so much of it before it becomes rote and boring, because there's no stakes. Up the ante and raise the stakes by writing something more personal, more individual, and more dangerous to the character if you want something successful, or at least something people can really connect to. I mean, just look at Sword Art Online.
しても